Hey guys, Pieguyrulz here, and I've been reviewing a lot of shows lately. Adventure Time, Korra, SpongeBob. I've been neglecting what's been really important, the thing that I absolutely love to talk about but have been completely ignoring. And it hit me the other day when I was watching Korra. Nickelodeon has a ton of new bumpers that I haven't talked about at all. I guess I've stopped talking about bumpers because, well, Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network changed them up a lot. We don't have the same style bumpers for years and years on end anymore. It seems like every year they hit the reset button and try something completely different, because really not much has worked. I mean, bumpers have been decent. I'm not going to say that they've been awful from Nickelodeon for the past few years, but it hasn't been anything great, hasn't been anything memorable, nothing that should stick around for more than 1 year. Bumpers are so interesting to talk about because they might seem insignificant, being on screen for only a few seconds, but they are really important in pulling the network together creatively. If you have a bunch of good bumpers and good variety with your bumpers, it can make the network seem entertaining even when the commercials are on. It can make the network seem like a whole instead of just separate shows that aren't connected at all, especially if the bumpers feature the characters from the show. Bad bumpers, on the other hand, can make the network seem creatively dead, can make the network seem boring, can make it seem like you wanted any excuse you can to flip away from that network, especially during the commercials. Bumpers can be hard to talk about, though, because although I find them very important and interesting, and a lot of other people do, for some reason they aren't documented very well on the internet. I guess because it's hard to know if you've seen all bumpers or have collected all bumpers. Sure, there's a ton of collections on YouTube, and if you search for them right now, Nick Bumpers 2013, you'll find a bunch of ones that I'm about to talk about. But there's no grand list somewhere where it can just check off, okay, I've talked about this one, this one, this one, this kind of bumper. No, it's kind of up to me to put together the pieces, so I'm going to talk about 6 different kinds of bumpers that Nickelodeon has been airing in 2013, and I don't know if I'm going to cover them all, I don't know if I've gotten them all, I don't know if I've seen every type of bumper out there, but I tried my hardest to find as many as I can and talk about as much of this as I can, so forgive me if there's any gaps in my knowledge. So I found 6 different types of these bumpers, and I'm going to start listing them off from my least favorite all the way to my favorite. So at the bottom of the list we have something I like to call cardboard cutouts, which is when Nickelodeon takes pictures of the live-action show characters they have and kind of poses them around the screen, mixes their facial expressions up a little bit, switches between maybe like a few different pictures, and does a little skit with them. I put this at the bottom of the list mostly because it's stuff we've seen before. Nick's had these bumpers for Teen Nick shows in the past, and they're alright. There's nothing particularly bad about them, and pretty good if I'm saying that about the worst thing on my list. But there's nothing interesting about them. There's nothing creative. There's nothing original. It's stuff we've seen before, and it's not very new or interesting. Next up, we have the big heads. No, not Ed and Bev. These are these animated characters with colorful heads. There's an opera singer, there's a nerdy guy, there's a guy with a mustache, I think he might be a wizard, and according to online, there's also some weird monkey and some burping girl, but I've never seen them. Apparently the gimmick with these are that they mumble or say something, and then you zoom into their mouth, they open their mouth wide, and then there's the cartoon that's coming up next. They'll say, boop, 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 Fairly Odd Parents, boop, 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 or something like that. It's not very interesting because, well, for the most part, they just feature clips from the episode, so it's not like there's new content there. And, to be honest, it's a little bit weird to have these big-headed people with their mouths opening up and seeing cartoons inside. It's definitely very strange, although that's not particularly a bad thing. It does remind me a lot of old Nickelodeon bumpers where they'd be very, very surreal and have these very strangely shaped characters. They definitely lose points though for lack of variety. There's only a few of these headed characters, and yeah, they reuse it, but they use different shows and different clips, so it can get a little bit repetitive. But it's definitely imaginative and definitely weird. Next up, we have the circles, or badges, or pins, or whatever. These are little circles on a black background of the characters from the show that move around the screen and spout off lines and that sort of thing. Like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles will form a battle formation and the Shredder will yell at them. There's also other badges on screen that are either background characters or symbols of objects from the show. It's very fast-paced and visually interesting, and there's quite a number of these, so thumbs up to that. They're good on variety and presentation. but it's not particularly great because at the end of the day, it is still just basically a bunch of pictures flying by the screen with a few lines of dialogue here and there. Nothing fantastic, but for what it is, it's pretty clever. Now we're getting to the really cool bumpers, the claymation ones. Well, I'm calling them claymation. To be honest, they were probably animated on a computer without any sort of clay, but it looks like claymation, and that's really what counts. These are really, really awesome, because not only do they look really cool, being at least stylized to look like claymation, but they tell stories. They have these Nick characters running around the screen, and by Nick characters, I don't mean the characters from Nickelodeon shows, I mean the Nick from Nickelodeon actually form little characters that dance around the screen and eventually form the Nick logo. It's really clever. It's not the first time you've seen one of these type of bumpers. In fact, Cartoon Network had them all the time, and Nickelodeon had them too, but it's nice to see this cool return to that, and the characters and scenarios that they present are really interesting. Usually they're a bunch of monsters or robots or aliens or whatever. There's a nice variety to this, and even the ones that you watch over and over again, you'll notice different things because so much stuff is happening in such a short amount of time. And it forms the Nick logo in the end, which I also really like, that it's an organic forming of the logo instead of the logo just popping out at the end. Next up, there's the animated ones, which are very similar to their CGI or claymation counterparts because, well, the Nick logo is a bunch of different characters that form Nickelodeon. And there's a ton of these too. There's even some summer variants. They had a Halloween variants recently. It's cool to see the Nick logo be a bunch of different characters in a scenario and it flashes by and that's about it. It's simple, but imaginative and interesting. Some of them even feel like nods to old Nick bumpers. There's a barbershop quartet on screen and they sing the Nick 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 thing. So that's cool, and there's a ton of these. I'm pretty sure they started airing at least in 2012, possibly even 2011. This isn't really anything new, but they're still airing them in 2013, so that means they have to be some sort of quality if they're continuing for this long. I'm having trouble finding these on the internet, but I know I've seen them on Nickelodeon itself, so they're out there. You just gotta find them. There's not really much else I can say, but they're pretty cool. Hunt them down for yourself on the network. And my favorite of the Nickelodeon bumpers that are currently airing right now, the 8-bit bumpers. Actually, they're probably even more like 16-bit, but they're stylized to be like old video games with sound effects to match. They're all pixelated and they form a little scene, and sometimes the characters will even be inside what looks like a video game. It looks really awesome, and especially for things like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which had a very popular video game, is a really nice throwback. I'm a video game nerd, so maybe this isn't really fair, but these are my favorite because they're just really cool looking. It's something else. It's not just showing you a clip from the show. It's showing you something you haven't seen. It's showing you something that's nostalgic, that's visually interesting and awesome. And there's quite a few of them. Not a ton per se, but enough that'll keep you interested. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Are they better or worse than 90s Nick bumpers? Well, I think it's time we look past that. We're well over a decade away from the 90s now. It's time to just admit that these kind of bumpers just aren't going to come back, and probably shouldn't. It's a new crop of kids with a new crop of tastes. So, this is very fitting. I don't think that they're, like, amazing or anything. Of course, I'm going to prefer the old ones, but I think that they're entertaining, they're imaginative, they're good. I think we're out of that rut that bumpers seem to be in for all networks. I think we're way past that. I think we're into a new age. All of the bumpers seem to give you a feeling of animation or action. They seem to be very energetic. They seem very involved. They hold your attention. They make you want to watch more Nickelodeon. And that's really good. So, yeah. These bumpers are pretty awesome. I suggest you give them a check out on YouTube or even try and hunt them down on Nickelodeon itself if you dare watch that network. Dare I say, the bumpers are probably even better than most of the shows on that network. That's really sad. Alright, Pieguyrulz out.